This is She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. Your host, Kinsey Roberts, interviews incredible women in the wedding industry who are making their mark and creating success on their terms. Join the conversation.
Well, hey there and happy Tuesday. You're listening to episode 9 of She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. I'm your host, Kinsey Roberts, and my guest today is Ruth Pitt from Raise the Ruth Events. I know, I love the name of her business too, and we are going to get into the story about how her sister helped her name her business. Ruth lives in Virginia, and she is a wedding planner, in addition to working her 9-to-5 job. That's just one of the things that I love about this woman. She hustles, and she's building her dream in the margins of life, like a lot of us, you know? I met Ruth at the Creative at Heart conference in Denver, Colorado in July of this year, 2016, and I just loved her immediately. We were in the wedding planning panel together, even though I'm not a wedding planner. I own a venue, but that's where they put me because I would have been alone in the venue owning panel. But I was just so happy to be in that panel. It's just full of amazing women like Ruth. She's smart. She is welcoming. She's kind. She has a brilliant mind for wedding planning and business. She asks great questions, and she is such an encourager. That is kind of what we're talking about today. We're just talking about how she finds encouragement, how she gives encouragement because she's just so open with it, and really how she's building this business successfully on the side of a 9-to-5 and what she does to make it happen. So you are going to love this interview with Ruth. Before we get to the show, I want to thank today's sponsor and this month's sponsor, who is Ginny Kraus of JinnyKraus.com and theweddingconcierge.com. Ginny has come on as my first sponsor, and I could not be more grateful to her. She has been kind enough to offer a 60-minute strategy session to all of the She Creates Business listeners to discover the heart of your brand. She's offering this session at $150 off of her normal rate of $299 and giving it to us for only $149. Along with this 60-minute strategy session, you will get a Heart of Your Brand worksheet, which is an actionable workbook and will help you to just further the discovery of your brand. And here is my favorite part. She's offering a 30-minute follow-up session within 45 days of your original session to hold you accountable. Accountability, you guys, is where business happens. Maybe not business, but do you know what I mean? Accountability is where it is at. That's why masterminds work. That's why Facebook groups work, because people are holding you accountable. You know that if you tell someone you're going to do something in one of those places, then you have to go out and do it, right? That's how I feel. It might be just me, but from the emails that I've gotten from the last couple of episodes that Ginny has sponsored, I don't think so. I think you agree that accountability is where it's at. Spots are limited, and at a discount of over $150 off, I have a feeling these are going to fill up really quickly, so head on over to Ginny Kraus, that's Kraus, S as in Sam, S as in Sam.com/heart. That's JinnyKraus.com/heart, or tap your podcast player and click the link in the show notes to claim your spot. Just mention She Creates Business so you get that awesome discount. And you know what? I've been saying it, but I really do feel this way. Even if you have an established business, I think doing a strategy session with someone like Ginny, who is a brand and social strategist for wedding professionals, and who just loves us and just wants to serve us, is so helpful because she wants us to be successful. You know, she wants us to know what the heart of our brand is. And I've had the pleasure of talking to her not only for the podcast, but privately. And she just has a huge servant heart. So thank you so much, Jenny, for being a sponsor. I greatly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to my own strategy session, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. Without further ado, let's go to the show and get to know Ruth Pitt from Raise the Ruth Events. Hey guys, welcome to the She Creates Business podcast. This is your host, Kinsey Roberts from VistaView Events, and it is my extreme pleasure and honestly my honor to interview and introduce you to Ruth Pitt today. She's from Raise the Ruth Events, and her and I met at the Creative at Heart conference a couple of months ago, and I had the pleasure of sitting on the wedding planning panel with her. or just being, I wasn't sitting on it. I'm sorry. I made it sound like I was talking. I wasn't. I was learning from everyone. And I just knew I had to get to know more about her. So Ruth, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
It is it's really exciting for me to have you here, and I'm excited to share you with our listeners. So if you would you just kind of briefly tell us who you are and what you do in the wedding industry?
Sure. I'm Ruth of Raise the Ruth Events, based in Virginia, Hampton Roads area. I am a wedding and anniversary planner, and so I plan all big, beautiful, detailed weddings, all the way through to anniversaries.
Now, do you, how did you decide? That's interesting. I have a really quick question. And then before I get to the other ones, how did you decide to kind of niche down and do weddings and anniversaries? Because some people are just weddings and others are like weddings and corporate events. Is there a reason you decided to do weddings and anniversaries?
Yes. So weddings have always been a big thing for me. I've always been involved in weddings at some point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
My mom doing wedding cakes, and I would always go with her to deliver them, to catching the bouquet at every wedding since I was 12.
What? I love
yes.
that.
It's a curse, though, because I'm not married.
You could keep your bouquets.
Yes.
Just kidding.
But when I started, I really fell in love with the thing that fired me up the most was weddings, and really putting those together and the outcome and just being able to really be there for someone on their big day.
Mm-hmm.
And then anniversaries, I got into them because my parents have actually been married for 35 years, and their anniversary came up, and I was just trying to find ideas of something to do for their anniversary. And I started looking through their old memorabilia. Like my mom had like their old matchbook from when they got married, and an old napkin and everything like that. And I said, you know what? This is so special
Mm-hmm.
that I would love to be a part of someone's anniversary. Like after all these years, you still love and can remember that day with that person. I want to be a part of that. So I decided to start doing anniversaries, and I love it.
That is so special. We like your parents. I have on my husband's side, his grandparents and his parents. They've been married for so many years, and I find that is so special and amazing. And I can see why you'd want to be a part of those. Do you tell me more about Raise the Ruth Events. How did you get started? I know you've been involved with weddings for a long time. You've been catching bouquets, but tell me the beginnings of Raise the Ruth Events and how you got started in the industry and how you incorporate that into your 9-to-5.
Yes. So I started my business in November 2014, and for years I had wanted to start a wedding planning business, but I never thought around in my area like there was a need for it, or it was something that someone would ever hire me to do. Like I helped out at church with church events and family events, but never thought that anyone would necessarily really want a wedding planner.
Mm-hmm.
And one day my sister, she had Instagram before I did, and she was actually following Kat of Dear Sweetheart Events. And she said to me, she said, this girl is doing what you want to do, and she's doing it really good, and she's working her job. You know, there is a place out here for wedding planning. And so I made tons of excuses and said, you know what, I don't have a name. I don't, no one's going to hire me. I don't have any experience other than like church and family. And then finally we were just sitting on the couch, and she said, you know what, let's just sit here and come up with a name. And so we went through different names and came across, she said, well, what about Raise the Ruth? And I said, you know what, no one's going to hire me with a name that sounds that silly. But I thought it was funny, and she thought it was funny, and we texted my other sister, and she thought it was funny. So I said, okay, well, why not? I'll start with it, and if people hate it, I'll get rid of it. Um, so I came up with my name that day. I opened up my Facebook group page that day, and 2 weeks later, I booked my first wedding.
What? 2 weeks later?
Yes. And so I
Ruth,
thought, okay.
you're like, I'm keeping the name.
Yeah. So I guess I'm doing this now.
I love your sister. She stayed on you because she knew you'd be great at this.
She did. She
Now,
did, and she still stays on me.
is that, yeah. See, sisters. I don't have one. I mean, I have a half sister, but I have mostly brothers. So is she the sister on your Instagram? Is she the sister you planned the wedding for, or is that another sister?
No, that's a different sister. I actually have three sisters.
Oh my gosh, you're so lucky. Okay, that wedding was so beautiful. Like, the
Thank you.
groomsmen are so handsome. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, look at these suits. Look at this red. I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a sidebar. I'm sorry. I was stalking you on Instagram. So you started your Facebook page, booked your wedding within 2 weeks. How did you, I mean, from going from, no one's going to book me with this name to, okay, I guess I'll just do it. And then booking your first wedding within 2 weeks. I know you as this because we just met in July, which is a couple months ago at the time of this recording. I mean, I know you as this like amazing encourager and an educator in this industry. For me, I was just and I know a lot of the other gals felt the same. So have you always kind of had that encouragement bone in your body, or is this something you've developed over time, just being a planner for the last almost 3 years?
I believe it's something I've always had. I love encouraging others. I feel like when you're encouraging someone, you just never know who's on the brink of greatness or the brink of doing something new, and all they need is that little push. So I love encouraging people and cheering them on because there's so many opportunities out here for everyone, and a lot of people are held back by fear. And if you just started, or you have that encouraging person, just one person telling you you can do it, I mean, you can do things that you never thought you could do. So it's always just been a big part of who I am.
That's right. I mean, that's really sometimes all it takes is that one person who believes in you over time, and just kind of sticks with you, like your sister. I mean, really, like it really just takes one person to kind of just change the trajectory of either your business or your life, or even something small. Just kind of a decision.
Yeah.
Now, why do you like in this? I feel, going to live events in the wedding industry, or even just in general as a creative entrepreneur, going to live events is a great way to be encouraged and find mentorship. How do you kind of make this an intentional practice? Because I would imagine that there's people like me coming to you with questions or needing advice. So how do you kind of make it an intentional practice to reach out and kind of uplift others in the wedding industry?
So I make it a point when I meet people to really get to know a little something about them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do, I make sure to, follow them and let them know that I'm available. And then I just follow them and follow their journey on social media. Or I might, email them and make sure that when I see them doing something big, that I encourage them. Or if I haven't seen anything from them in a while, I might email them just to let them know that I was thinking about them. So I always try to keep track of who I met. It may sound silly, like sometimes I'll write down facts about people, like when I meet them. Some like at a networking event, I might write down a few things after I've met them of what they've said. That way, it gives me something to follow back up on.
Absolutely. No, that's not silly at all. I've read that, and I think I've read a blog post where there's folks in other industries who they kind of keep a spreadsheet truly of who they've connected with and just like how many times they've connected with them, just because, the world is a big place. I mean, made smaller by the internet, of course, but it's nice when people remember personal details about you. So I don't think that's silly. I would love it if someone remembered, my dog's name or my child's name, and I don't care if they wrote it down.
Yeah.
Who do you find that, I mean, you said you were, that you kind of found Kat of Dear Sweetheart Events. I also love her, but who do you find that, gives you, who's kind of pouring back into you or providing mentorship for you so that it kind of helps you, carry on your encouragement of others?
So, everyone, well, I feel like I'm grouping, but I went to the second installment of Creative at Heart conference also. And at that point, my business was only 3 months old. So it was a lot of people there who really just poured into me because I never had an internship and had just started. And there's certain things that you should know when you're starting your business that I didn't know. And so they really poured into me. So that was definitely Kat. Like I can text her and she'll answer my text message, or my business, I call her my business bestie, but we're really more besties now, is my friend Courtney Ingram. She is actually an amazing, amazing florist in Virginia, and she just really pours into me, and I pour back into her, and it's just an amazing friendship of encouragement and cheering each other on. And then also Raina Pomeroy, she's amazing.
I love her.
Yes. She's reached out to me a few times, and I've reached out to her, and she has just kept me going, where I might have felt like down at a point or stuck. She's really helped to push me over that ledge. So she's been a big encouragement. And then one more person, I'm sorry, that's sticking out in my mind big, is Michelle Bonham. She is actually, we met in an online course, and she is a planner for Absolutely in events, and she started wanting to do like coaching and everything. And I said, like, you've been in the business for a while, like I'll be your guinea pig. And it went from me being her guinea pig and her pouring into me to me just like really finding a friend who understood the wedding planning and the struggles I might have had, or the fears that I might have when starting a business and things like that. So she's been just absolutely amazing in my life. So those are some big people for me.
So Michelle sounds awesome. Isn't that, I feel so thankful when kind of people come into our life at exactly the right time. Like you met in a course, so you probably weren't thinking, oh, we're going to have this, really tight knit relationship. And now look, like she's been a coach and also a friend. And I imagine she came to you at exactly the right time that you needed her. And I think that that's so special.
Yeah, she's amazing.
For those listening, the folks that Ruth mentions and all of the tools and anything she mentions today will be in the show notes over at the shecreatesbusinesspodcast.com. So on the website, on the show notes, you can get all of these resources. We'll send you to Kat's, all of these gals' websites, because they're definitely people you want to get to know. And if you have a chance, you should check out the Heart-Centered Biz Bosses Facebook group. That's Raina Pomeroy's Facebook group, and Raina is someone that Ruth just mentioned, and Ruth and I are both a part of that group, and I love that group. It's a great group of ladies. It's supportive and encouraging, but it's also collaborative, and you can ask questions in there. It's not wedding specific, but I find that I always get great help out of there. Do you, Ruth?
Yeah, I find great help and encouragement out of that group.
Me too. All right. So, well, kind of switching gears here. This is kind of on the topic of meeting people and in-person networking, I guess, and in-person events. You recently styled and were a speaker for the AKP retreat. Can you tell me more about this retreat, like how you got involved and, what was it like to be a speaker, and why do you think in-person events are important for your business?
Yes. So how I got involved is kind of funny. I found out about the AKP retreat because I was friends with a few photographers, and they had went to be a part of the retreat when it was in the Outer Banks. And I saw it and I said, wow, this retreat looks like really fun. And I looked into it and I started following them on Instagram. From there, I was following the retreat, and they would have different other workshops, and they were just so fun, and they looked like a good time. And I would just comment, just regular commenting, just back and forth, like, oh, this is so cute. Oh, that looks so fun. And then Ashton Kelly, who is the creator behind the AKP retreat, she friended me on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And when she friended me on Facebook, we just became friends and carried that same kind of Instagram relationship over, where we comment on each other's stuff and be excited for each other. And she announced on Instagram one day that they were taking the AKP retreat to Charleston. And I said, oh my God, like, I've never been to Charleston before. I've always wanted to go. And I probably hit send on it on Instagram, and then like immediately she said, email me. And I said, okay. So I emailed her, and about 10 minutes later she emailed me back, and she was like, look, like, I love your work. I think you're great, and you're an encourager, and I would love it if you would come along and style the retreat. And I said, me?
What?
Me? Okay. Like, sure, I'll do it. And as we were planning the retreat, we kind of had like a little powwow one time, and I mentioned to her that I've always wanted to speak and kind of share my story and speak with others and try to help others. And the next day she emailed me, and she was like, okay, so you're speaking at the conference now also. So
what was going through your mind when she said that?
I wanted to run. And then at the same time, it was like I was nervous, I was scared, and excited all in one, because I couldn't believe that something that I had just, it was a part of my goals list, and I had mentioned it just to her, just in speaking. And for that to really come to fruition is still just so surreal for me. So that's just amazing for me. So
I'm not surprised though. I honestly, even just the short time I spent with you, I am honestly not surprised that she was like, yep, you're speaking now, because you're an ideal speaker. You have an awesome story. You lift people up, and you are super knowledgeable. I mean, what else could she want in a speaker, truly?
Oh, you're so sweet.
Well, okay, so this is funny, because you just said that you kind of mentioned to her that you would like to do speaking sometime in the future, which I asked you on my kind of topic list. I was like, do you want to do more speaking in the future? So tell me, do you have like speaking goals or like speaking dreams right now that you would like to do more of in the future?
Yes, I actually do have some speaking dreams. I actually wrote down my 2017 goals 2 weeks ago, and I would really, really love to speak at 2 conferences next year and actually host my own workshop or little get together. I'm not sure exactly what yet, but I would love to speak more and just share my story and inspire others. It going to those events and sometimes hearing something, it could be the same thing that maybe your sister or your mom or your friend or business partner has told you over and over and over, but hearing it from someone else and getting a different perspective can change everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I feel like I want to do for other people is just to, you know, share how I started and share a different perspective than where, other people might have started and spent so much money starting their business. I started with a free logo from my friend and a $90 website I built myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, just giving those different perspectives and stuff. So yeah, I would love to speak at conferences. Like creative at heart is top, top, top on my list.
You hear that, Cat?
And
You hear that, Cat
yes,
Schmoyer?
that's top on my list. And then just other ones like Inspired Retreat and all different sorts of things. Even the small workshops, like just give me a mic, I'll speak.
Yeah, you will. I'm just, that's going to be that's what I'm going to pull out as the quote. Just give me a mic, I'll speak. Uh, okay, if now, I mean, maybe if a planner or anyone in the industry is listening right now, for somebody like me, I'm newer to the industry. I haven't been in for, you've been in for almost 3 years, but I'm newer, so I don't really have speaking on my radar right now. But if someone who is newer to the industry, or maybe they're not new, but they don't really feel like they have their tribe, or they haven't found people, like a Courtney or a Michelle or a Kat that they can talk with and get poured into by, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give them to help them find, that mentorship, that encouragement that they really need?
I would definitely say to join a Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I started and I didn't have anyone local to me who I could reach out to, joining like a Facebook community is where I built community. And I could, share my fears or share my wins and someone was cheering me on. So I would say join a Facebook community. Um, Reach out to some people. So if you're following someone on Instagram and you think they're great, or you think, you might have a question for them, don't be scared to email them. Email them, reach out to them. They might not be able to meet you in person, but they might be able to offer, to answer a few of your questions. Maybe book a one-on-one with you to answer your questions just a little bit deeper. The last thing I would say is to not be closed off and find community, or create a community if you don't have one. Kind of, you should
Yeah.
start off, you can be the encourager. And then you might find one other person and bring them in and just keep on bringing people in and just create that community that you're searching so hard for. That's just my advice on it.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. Now on the topic of Facebook groups, so Ruth mentioned Raina Pomeroy, and she has a Facebook group called Heart Centered Biz Bosses that we are both in, and that's a great one for you to join. I also recommend the Savvy Business Owners Facebook group. That's a great one. Heather Crabtree leads that one. Is there another one, Ruth, that you would recommend for somebody to join if they're looking to find community on Facebook?
I actually really love the Refine group. That's
Oh, I haven't
with
heard of that
Alex
one.
Howard. It is a wedding planner only group, but
Okay.
that's just for wedding planners. But if you're not a wedding planner, Amber Housley has a group. Um, she just changed the name of it, so I might get it wrong, but I believe it's Inspired Creative Businesswomen. Um, And that is a great group of encouragement also.
Awesome. I'm just writing those down so that I can make sure to put them in the show notes for everyone listening. And yeah, if you're a planner listening to this, definitely check out Refine Group, because that is, as Ruth said, just for planners. So what a great group to be involved in, because you know exactly what each other are going through, and you can bounce ideas off of each other. Okay, well, as we kind of wrap up here a little bit, Ruth, I have a few more questions. So kind of switching gears, as I mentioned at the top of the podcast, you're busy, you're doing weddings, you're doing anniversaries, you're also working a traditional job. What are some tools, and they can be tech or not, that you use to kind of manage your projects and your business?
So, one big tool that I started using this year is HoneyBook. And at first I was a little skeptical, because when people talk about things a lot, I tend to think they're hyping it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried it out on for like a week trial or something, and I really fell in love with it because it was making everything automated.
Oh,
I didn't even have to transfer things to my account. Like, the money went directly to my account. When someone inquired on my website, it came directly to me. And then my questionnaire automatically went out. I could answer questions, right within HoneyBook and everything. So HoneyBook is huge for me, a huge time saver for me this year. Another thing is my Gmail canned responses. Um, I With wedding planning or any business, you get a lot of inquiries, and a lot of inquiries can be the same, for the same thing.
sure.
So I created some canned responses, kind of in the down season, and I saved them in Gmail. And when someone inquires, I can just pop in some personal points from the inquiry that they sent, but I don't have to type up the entire email. So canned response emails are huge for me, because I can just send those and respond to them quickly while I am at work. And then another one that's really big for me is actually my planner. I have a Happy Day planner, which I got from Michael's Arts and Crafts. Just a little, it's a $30 planner, but I had a 50% off coupon, so I paid $15.
There you go. Yep. Give me all the coupons for Michael's. Otherwise,
Yes,
I will spend my check there.
yes. The cutest planner. Like, you can add little stickers and different cute little things to it, and it fits right in my purse, and I take it everywhere, and it keeps me on track. It's a place for notes and a pocket to put inserts and different things in it, and it's just amazing. So, HoneyBook, canned responses, and my Happy Day planner.
Those sound fantastic. Someone else mentioned canned responses. I think it was at the conference, at the Creative at Heart conference we went to. And it's funny because I haven't implemented those in my business at all, but I used to use them almost religiously when I worked in corporate marketing, because I worked for a real estate company. And so we got the same inquiries, all the time. Like,
Yeah.
how much is monthly rent, or whatever, all those really, questions that you would get all the time. And so I was like, can response. And then when someone mentioned it, and you just did now too, I was like, oh, duh. Just because I'm not in the corporate world anymore doesn't mean I can't use those.
Exactly.
You're so right. Well, and I'll obviously be looking at the Happy Day planner, because stationery of any kind is, I might not even need it, but I'll buy it. So it's ridiculous. It's a problem that I have.
Yes.
So I have a question about HoneyBook. It has definitely been, I would imagine if you're listening to this podcast, you've heard of HoneyBook. If not, we'll link to it in the show notes so you can go get familiarized. But it seems to kind of be all over the place. Now, do you find that I don't know. I guess my question is this. I heard that with HoneyBook, your clients had to actually log in to pay their invoice. Is that still the case, or have they updated that? Because that seems
No, they have
okay.
actually updated that. Thank
Okay.
God.
All right.
They updated that because that was a little, when anything rolls out, it's got kinks to it.
You bet.
And they were thinking it was, even more secure for your clients to have to log in and they create a password and all this. And it really was frustrating because a lot of people would get frustrated and just say, you know what, just send me a paper invoice, or, is there a
Sure.
different way to do this? So yes, they got rid of that, and they're really good at listening to feedback from customers um, because they really want to make our lives easier.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they've definitely gotten rid of that and updated a few other things.
That's huge. I love these startups that are rolling out that are taking client and customer feedback and actually implementing them. So bravo, HoneyBook, well done. Ruth, as we wrap up here, will you, if you wouldn't mind, kind of tell me what are you excited right now about in terms of your business? Do you have any new projects or new offerings on the way that listeners can go to your website to see, or just in general, what's on the horizon for Raise the Ruth events?
Yes, so I'm really excited right now because I have an awesome fall lineup of brides. I have 6 brides left for the fall season, and I'm really excited about all of them because each one of them are different. Um, and I actually have my second floral wedding
Oh,
in October. Um, so I'm really, really excited about that. I don't take on a lot of big floral projects because it's a lot to balance with working full time.
mm-hmm.
But I do have where I will take on at least 3 weddings a year that are floral. And that's one that's coming up, and I'm really excited about it. And then this month, I am actually launching my coffee chat, which is my one-on-one mentoring program. And I'll be opening it up to new um, creative business owners that may be stuck and wanting some encouragement or wanting to bounce ideas off of me. And a lot caters towards people that are working full time and balancing their business.
Mm-hmm.
So I am planning to do a couple webinars and things like that. So some big things coming up that I'm pretty excited, nervous about, but really excited to really pour back into the community more.
That's huge. And listeners, at the time of this recording, so it is September 6th as we record this. So definitely head to Raise the Ruth Events. It's raisetheruthevents.com, right, Ruth?
Yes.
raisetheruthevents.com to check out that the coffee chat mentoring program that Ruth is mentioning, because I would imagine by the time you hear this, it should either be launched or it should be close to launching. So, and that's definitely something you'll want to get in on. I can attest to that because I got this one-on-one time with Ruth already, and also she was on my panel, and I know that she has a lot to give back. So if you're a planner or if you're a creative business owner, you're going to want to get in on those mentoring sessions. Well, thank you, Ruth. Just thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. You really kind of took a chance on me, and I just can't thank you enough. It was a real pleasure to have you here.
Oh, you are so welcome. I loved every minute of it.
Good. I'm
So
so
thanks for
glad.
having me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anytime. Truly, anytime. Thank you so much, Ruth. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Isn't Ruth incredible? It is so hard for me to explain how amazing it has been to meet all of these wonderful women thanks to the Creative at Heart conference, and Ruth is certainly no exception. She really just, when I first met her, she really just kind of welcomed me with open arms. It's like I had known her forever. And then she started immediately after the conference, we started following each other on social media, on Instagram, and she was just there encouraging me. She's liking my stuff and commenting and just encouraging me on my journey to build a venue and, navigate this whole wedding industry. And I just am so grateful. It just warms my heart and makes me feel so special and so loved. So Ruth, if you are listening to this, you are such a gift to me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate your wisdom and I appreciate you sharing with everyone here. I know that they did as well. That wraps up this episode of She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. And as we close out, I just want to thank our sponsor, Jenny Krause, and her 60-minute Heart of Your Brand strategy session that she's offering for only $150, only to She Creates Business listeners. So please head over to jennykrause.com/heart. Check out her page there, and she will tell you more about that strategy session where you will get a actionable brand workbook and a 30-minute follow-up session within 45 days of your first session to really hold you accountable. Jenny's awesome. Love her. If you haven't listened to episode 8 that features Jenny Krause, please do. She is truly one of a kind. And I know that if you get a strategy session with her, you will feel the same way. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you so much for listening to She Creates Business. Please take a minute and head to iTunes to leave an honest review so we can help more wedding pros find the show.